This is exactly how I thought my life would be at 25. Said no one ever. You know, fuck you if you did. So I reached a quarter of my life. You know, that is, if I live up to 100. I mean, who lives up to 100 these days? Like, you know, so if we are going to be accurate, it's kind of like more of a third life crisis. 25 is the peak of our youth, according to modern culture. But honestly, I don't think I've done anything younger me would have been proud of. Or else there wouldn't be this video. I wasn't really all that excited for my birthday this year. I felt like it was this looming deadline, and I tried to cram as much as I can, so there's a lot of self-hate and regret. Like, why didn't I start this earlier? But then again, like, I started setting goals around when I was 13 or younger probably. Like, I had this set of goals I was supposed to finish before I turned 13. But then I turned 13 and then I didn't finish it, so I pushed it off to 18. And I didn't finish it again, so it was pushed off to 20, 21, and now here we are at 25, and no, I have not accomplished a single thing, I think. And through the years, the list has significantly shortened, you know, due to the decay of my childhood dreams and aspirations. Just kidding. Or not. Like, one of the things I wanted to do before I was 13 was to have a monument after myself. For what? I don't know. I don't know why. But I guess even then, younger me had this sort of desire to be remembered, making sure the world knew that I was here, that Steph Yap was here. But yeah, the list dwindled down because, you know, as you grow older, you know yourself more, you know your limits. Now you know that aspirations turn into expectations, and pag nag-expect ka, nasasaktan ka. That's the reality of it, I guess. I remember that when I was a kid, I used to look forward to my birthdays all the time. And it wasn't about the gift or the cake. Well, I guess maybe it was sometimes about people, because it was a time where I could play with my cousins, and I remember back in the day, like, people would race to see who texted you first at 12 midnight. And now I think I'll be lucky if I get the text before noon. Sometimes I wonder if people remember it was my birthday if, you know, Facebook didn't remind them. But I'm not trying to find out. I couldn't wait to grow up then. Because when I'm all grown up, there's no more school, no more rules, I'll have more time then, I'll have more resources then. But then I'll also have a lot more responsibilities then. This is the age where we're at the prime of our youth, full of energy, ambition, glass half full mentality. But the other half leaves a lot of room for self-doubt. We're no longer limitless. Now all we see are our limits. I feel like if life had a traffic signal, you know, go, stop, 25 would be the yellow one, you know, slow down. You're almost done with your youth. 25 seems to be a deadline, and I feel like I failed. But why? Who would fail me? Who's the teacher of this class? Is there even an exam? Is there even a class? Success doesn't even have a definite meaning. And that's why we turn to social comparison as a measure of success. And thanks to the wonderful world of social media, we compare our worst with everyone's best. Like, comparison is at its peak. Yes or no in this case. I guess I've always been the type of person who looks forward to the next thing, because I'll be great then. I'll achieve so much things then. I have so much faith in my future self. But now, what's the next thing? After college, what's the next deadline? The next milestone? Get married, have kids, and then die? And there's no one to tell you what to do anymore. And that's what you wanted. But it's also pretty terrifying, because I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And now I've been given complete control over my decisions, over my happiness. So now, if I'm not happy, I have no one else to blame but myself. Suddenly, sovereignty of choice isn't all too appealing. Now, I don't want to be one of those rom-com leading ladies who, have the perfect life, the perfect job, but are somehow still incomplete because they have no man. But I really thought I'd have a boyfriend by now. Wait, actually, I do want to be like them. Like, the whole work-life balance, that's the dream. I know having a relationship isn't the end all. Happy ever after only exists because that's where they stop the stories. I mean, my mom got married at 25, and here I am, still single, with no one to mingle. It's not like no one's interested. I mean, I don't mean to brag, but I have a few gentlemen callers. But I don't know, they fall short of this standard that seems to increase every time I meet someone who's not a match. My friends say that I should just settle, but I'd rather not, because imagine living the rest of your life with someone you just mildly tolerate. But then again, that's most marriages, so... And maybe that is the best bargain for lifelong companionship. Is that too pessimistic? Is my bitter singleness seeping through? But I always believed that to be loved, you had to be understood. And no one could ever understand another person. As Joseph Conrad said, we live as we dream, alone. I quit my corporate job last year, and I'd be lying if I said that turning 25 and not being proud of anything I've done wasn't a large factor in me quitting. And now, 6 months later, I'm not sure where to go, but I don't regret quitting. But now I have this array of careers, and I don't know which will make me the least unhappy. The grass always looks greener on the other side. I have a degree and license in architecture, but I also have potential in other creative fields. Some of my friends even say that those are more suited for me. But what if 5 years into that career, I don't like it as much as I did the first time around? And then I'll be 30, which is another deadline formed by social construct, and it will be hard to start another career then. It will be an endless hop to different industries, never really reaching contentment. This conundrum is my rock, if I were Sisyphus. But life isn't a linear path. We tend to think of life as a timeline with markers, but it's not. There are so many ways to go about it, and the only rule is to keep moving forward. When I was at Crossroads, I saw an Instagram post that said something like, either you feel the pain of staying where you are, or you feel the pain of growth. And it made me realize that most of my life had been more about passive decisions. I feel like a big chunk of my youth was wasted, but then you could see it in a way that you don't reach an epiphany if you don't go through the shit, So maybe this is the moment I meant to realize it, This is my character arc. And at least, I'm on my way now. Am I on the right path? I'm not so sure. But I feel like I have a better chance of finding whatever it is I'm looking for going forward rather than staying where I am. In the end, there is no test. There's nothing to fail except maybe our own inhibitions. And there's no deadline to figuring out life because that's what life's all about. Figuring it out, I think. We have this quarter-life crisis because we wonder if we're ever gonna live the life we owe to our younger selves. But let's be realistic with the goals. I mean, if we're being honest, we're in this mess because our younger selves believed in our future selves a bit too much. So let's not be too hard on ourselves. Let's give ourselves a bit more compassion. We have our whole lives ahead of us anyway. It's the year 2020, the start of a new decade, the start of a new zodiac cycle, and the year I turned 25. It feels like a beginning but also an end, but then aren't all beginnings endings and vice versa? I feel like last year had a lot of growing pains, but I feel like I'll say that about all the years to come. But, at least that means we're on the way there, step by step. So, congratulations, we've made it this far. See you guys in the next Step by Step Yap.